Alright.
Yes, yeah. No.
Alright, so yeah, my project is to produce and engineer 3 songs for an artist which happens to be Jack. So for my research I will look into key albums that have influenced Jack, recording techniques and producers whose sound I like. And I will probably present them online, which I'll talk more about in a minute. So the main thing I've been looking at the moment is Heroes by David Bowie, which was produced by a guy called Tony Visconti. There was quite a couple of interesting recording techniques and interesting sounds on the album, which I'm trying to sort of emulate a little bit. The first one of which is how they recorded the guitars. So when they recorded the guitar, they had no song structure for the song at all. They didn't know what key it was going to be in or anything like that. So they got a guitarist in called Robert Fripp, and he did 3 separate guitar takes. But individually, when they finally finished the song, neither guitar take worked at all on the song. So they just sort of went for broke and put all 3 on, and it creates the sort of, I don't know if you heard the song, there's that howling sort of noise, a really high-end howling noise, and that's what was created after they put it through a synthesizer and a couple of effects afterwards. But the combination of the 3 of them together creates an interesting sound. So in the song that me and Jack have been recording recently, there were a couple of different takes, and again, neither of them worked. So I thought, okay, this is a perfect opportunity. And then, so I put them in together. So halfway through the song, there's a guitar solo, but instead of just having one, there are 2, and they interlink and intertwine and go past each other. And they have different effects on them, and they'll be EQ'd differently, so you get a different sound to what you get for the rest of the song. So there's a standout section that's really different and will stick in your mind, and then hopefully it'll be different to any other song you've heard before. So the next thing was the recording of David Bowie's vocals on Heroes. They had this massive studio. It was like an old concert hall. It was 150 foot. It's like a sports hall size. So they decided to set up 3 microphones. One close mic, one probably where the wall is from me, and another one right at the back of the room. And there you put a different noise gate on the far 2, so that for the microphone to work, there had to be a certain level of volume. This meant that you got lots of reverb the further back you got. So halfway through the song of Heroes, you suddenly notice that the vocals sound really spaced out, and then they get really kind of almost creepy if you hear them isolated, because there's just so much bouncing off the rooms. This is something that's hard to sort of do here, but I've tried out a few different things, and next time I get in the studio, I'm gonna try a few different like bits of mic placement and moving screens and stuff like that to try and create different bits of reverb or sounds, or just to try and create something that isn't just a standard vocal, and then hopefully I don't have to compress it too much so it still sounds organic and real. So then I had to do, before I got in the studio, I had to look into what was the best way to record it, whether I was going to get Jack to sort of assemble a band, and for all of them to get the guitars or whatever and play at once, or if I wanted to do each thing individually. I've sort of gone for a mix of the 2, because there are some areas where it's good to have 2 people in the room. So, for example, when we did the bass and the drums, Jack played the bass and Anton played the drums, and they were able to sort of communicate so that then there wasn't a mistake. Because when we first started recording it, it was hard to follow on just from hearing something in your headphones. But then the guitars were all done separately afterwards, and the vocal, when we go into the vocal, will be done afterwards as well. But for the other songs, that might be different. It depends on the song, I think, is what I'm realising, is that I can't have a set philosophy. I have to say, okay, this song needs 4 people in a room to play at once, but this song is so technical, everyone needs to be doing it at different times and has to have heard the track 4 times, and so that I get the best results. So yeah, I haven't got as far as I'd like to, but I have one song that just needs vocals and is mixed and ready. As soon as the vocals are on, that'll be fine. And as I've got better at recording the next 2 songs, I should probably be able to get done in a studio session each. So I definitely still have time to do it. It's just might be a bit more pushed than I would like. So yeah, I plan to present it online on a website, which I have sort of started to build onto the next one. So it's a website that will have a biography, a sort of update section, and then there'll be a bit over here for a portfolio. So hopefully, as I build up more work over the time, I'll have a portfolio of 5 different EPs I've produced or something like that, and then a page at the bottom so that if anyone has any questions or wants me to help them out, they can contact me.
Or hopefully, if they want to hire you, that's
Yeah.
the main reason you have the contact.
Yeah, but at the moment it wouldn't be easy. But yeah, so that's the plan, to sort of present it in a way that people can listen to. But something I do need to do is sit down with Jack and work out how that's possible, so that people can listen to it and it doesn't mean I have to give away his music for free if he doesn't want that. So that's probably the biggest issue I face at the moment, is working out the exact way to present my music. Any questions?
Have you heard of Rick Rubin?
Yeah. I have heard of Rick Rubin.
Okay. Great.
She's obsessed with it. I can become your producer.
No, really. I mean, so you've been looking at a particular album. Have you?
I've looked into a couple of producers as well. Side.
I think you're at a very healthy stage with what you've done with your research. Is great. I think as a maybe more long term, really, because you've got a good method that you're working on, and I think you should follow it through. But generally speaking, just find out about more producers who've. Some producers are known for a particular sound, whereas with other producers, it's their methodology or what they get out of the artist.
Yeah, that's the thing I found most is lots of producers are very unwilling to give out their tricks as to how they create a sound. Quite understandably, because they don't want loads of people to then go out and buy the same microphones and recreate it. So a lot of what I've found online is more about making the artist feel at ease. So, making sure that you use their equipment, and if they don't want you to, you don't get too into the creative process. It's a lot harder to find stuff about their actual recording technique. Anton?
This might be mentioned in the presentation, but are you trying to emulate a sound, or are you trying to make your own sounds and then try and justify it?
Going by what Jack wants, because my role as a producer isn't to be a creative person who writes the songs, at least not in this project. My role is to record it, have a sound that Jack wants to have. So he's given me 4 or 5 albums that he'd kind of like it to sound a bit like, and then I try my best to do that. So
I'm going to show that Jack wants the sound.
Yeah.
He's going to have like an interview or something.
Yeah, I'll probably sit down with Jack and write down stuff. But yeah, so one example of how I did that was when we were recording the drums. One of the albums that Jack wanted to sound like was The Velvet Underground and Nico by The Velvet Underground, and that was quite a low budget production, and the drums sound quite tinny. So instead of using 2 overheads, I put one middle room mat quite far away, so that then the cymbals weren't clean and crisp, so that they were a bit more like Jack.
That's good.
Grace?
Okay, in the first slide, you said you want to become what? Engineer and what?
Engineer and produce.
Okay.
Okay.
No. You basically my body, but anyways.
What?
I don't think. There is a set difference between the two, or you would say that it's basically the same thing.
There's a difference.
What?
I would say an engineer is more the person in general who will set up the microphones and will know where to place the microphones to get the sound. Whereas the producer is more often, sometimes they mix together, which is what I'm doing. A producer is often more, okay, so I like that, but more reverb, or okay, that's good, but you could put it up a semitone. And sometimes they'll help the engineer and say, okay, can you put this microphone here and there? But I'm trying to sort of do the two at once.
Apart from not knowing exactly how to present your music, is there any other problems you face?
Getting the studio time to record it, because you can only book out studio once a week, and that's a 2-hour block.
So how will you tackle these problems?
So I'm going to talk to Grant and see if I can get some more time in the studio, which is probably not going to happen, but it's worth trying.
During your
when
lesson,
do you
you're allowed
have-
to.
Yeah, when
That's
you
the
have
other thing is
lessons.
seeing during the lesson if it's free or not. I've got a feeling that there are people in the studio being taught lessons, or it's already been booked out. But
And during your
during
Thursday
your one.
lesson.
That's
Tell him in
yeah.
advance that that's what you want to do. It's everything in this term is based around your project. So if your project means you need to try a vocal technique in particular, and you tell Grant that in advance, he's going to be quite likely to say, "Great, run with it," and he'll facilitate that.
Yeah, I have a question.
Have you thought about the question?
Yeah. Do you know how to word the question?
No.
Skip to her.
I tell you what, you think of your question, I'll answer. I'll answer
I had it.
Right.
Is there one that you, do you prefer being an engineer or a producer?
I like both.
Why?
I like working out what could be needed for a song to make it better if, say, Jack doesn't know what it is.
Yeah,
But I also like the problem solving of working out how to do it.
right.
So working out,
Is
okay.
it not difficult to just sort of put your like creative input in there?
I find it easier to put my creative input as both because it's easier to experiment if you're the only person. I don't have to explain to someone.
Right.
I want it to sound like this. In my head, I know exactly what I can do to make it sound. Jack?
How do you feel about getting all three songs done, considering we've only got one so far? If you struggle, not saying you will, but if it was to go tricky with the second, would you just try and do the second as best you can and just do two songs, or?
Probably. Or I would, what I'd most likely do would be to, after that session where we finish the second song, sit down with the artist, or you, and whoever else you need to record it, and see what you want to do. Because if you feel like, okay, I've got 2 tracks, I know we were aiming for 3, but we've got 2 and one of them's not very good. If you'd rather hone in that second track rather than finish 3, then ultimately I'm there to facilitate the artist rather than for the artist to mould into what I want.
And to sort of follow on that anyway, the content of everyone's project is about the process as much as the final product, and it's about quality over quantity. So if you do find that the studio time is not enough, it'd be better to follow your process through rather than you don't want to submit 3 tracks and say I haven't actually finished any of them because I ran out of time. Because then what would be better is to say that I realised I was running out of time, so I'll really finish this one.
Grace?
What have you learned so far as a sound engineer and producer?
It's not really something I've learned, but I've definitely developed quicker. I've got better at thinking on my feet. So last week, for example, when we were in the studio, we couldn't quite get all the microphones we wanted. So Grant gave us a different one I'd never used before, so I had to quickly work it out and try it out in a few different positions. Whereas before I probably would have panicked a little bit, but this time I was just calm and I thought, okay, I'll put it here. Right, I need to move it back 5 centimetres or whatever.
Are they going to be performed or played? Kind of thing, or?
I mean, really, that's sort of down to Jack because it's his music. So that's something I need to talk to him about. But my presentation is most likely to be on the internet.
I don't know if you answered this, but you see the Heroes case study. How's that affected your project so far?
I definitely wouldn't have thought of trying 2 guitar solos over the top of each other. I would have thought, okay, this is going to sound really messy, but it sounded good. And I tried putting on some other takes on top as well, but that didn't work. And I wouldn't even thought of trying to get a different vocal. I would have gone for a sort of standard sounding vocal rather than trying to make it more interesting. Anton?
Yeah, if you can't be in the studio, would you go into a production room and still try and achieve the same results? Or would you use that as part of your work? Or what if you didn't have a studio?
I don't think we'd be able to achieve the same results. I think we might be able to get certain things down in a but it wouldn't be as good a quality, for example. But there might be some things that I need to record in the production room with the synths in there. Jack wants, chances are it's easiest just to record it in there. So I might end up still doing some stuff in there, or we might decide that the vocals sound best in the production.
You considered different locations to get that big vocal sound.
I have, but it's working out how to then record it and how to, because it would involve going to a different location and either booking out a massive studio, which would be expensive, or having the portable gear to be able to record it, which might not be easy to find.
Would you change anything of the process that you've
Zoom
done
recorders.
until now?
You know, the Zoom recorder up close and Zoom recorder 100 feet away.
We've got two.
Yeah, we have got
two
two.
Zoom recorders.
Exactly. So you could then just experiment with a close mic and one very far away and see whether it gets something close to what you want.
Would you change anything of the process?
I think at the beginning when I first started recording, I was a bit too relaxed and we took too much time over things. So I think I would have had a better schedule of knowing what to do. But that's just something I've learned, and so it'll be easier now. I think I've also learned that sometimes it's best to make do with what you've got rather than say, okay, this microphone's probably the best. Say, okay, this might not be the best microphone, but it might make a good sound.
Have you played the music to other people to get their opinion on it?
Only the artist so far.
And what does he think?
He likes it. I keep forgetting to you. Jack likes it so far.
Are you mixing it as well?
Only roughly at the moment.
I think that's a good idea
Why?
because, as we've just seen, Jack's whole project is based on mixing, which is a different skill in the process. And if we look at music in a major label structure, it's done by a completely different person. If it's looking at a major label, it's probably done by one of about 10, maybe maximum 20 people every album. If you look up the mixing credits of somebody like Chris Lord-Dowdy, famous mixing engineer, he's mixed so many albums, it is just mental. And generally speaking, the producer doesn't do mixing. The producer may sit in on the mixing, that may in fact handle the mixer. So I think for what you're doing, it's probably, you obviously need to be able to present the music online, and you need it to sound roughly how what your idea is supposed to translate. So you need the vocal to be at the right level, but I don't think you should be worrying about that at this step in time.
Yeah. The good thing about having a rough mixer as well is in the times when I can't get into the studio, it gives me some music that I can still be working on to make it sound good.
I think you should be honing, because of especially what your project is focused on, you should be honing your recording and production techniques and then presenting them using Logic to a level where people can hear what you tried to do, but not then, I did these techniques and then I've compressed it 4 times and used this reverb and that. So what are you hearing? The compressors and the reverb, or are you hearing what you did? I think it's good. You're not trying to do too much, because you're producing for an artist with a band. You're not to add the mixing as well. You would have needed the music to be done by now, completely done. It's a shame if it wasn't Jack focusing on mixing and being the artist. You'd have a mix engineer there first. Yeah, that's not
For a
going to
small
work.
fee.
Ouch.
Yeah, but you know that the artist pays all those fees and then has to recoup them.
Yeah.
So doesn't the studio give them the money in the first place?
No, the label advances the money.
The label gives you the
And then you have
advance,
to pay it all back.
Yeah, you pay it back from your sales. So the
So why
label,
isn't everybody an independent record label?
because you have to have the money for the advance.
because the majors have the advertising budget to broadcast around the whole world.
It's corrupt, isn't it?
So it's all in advertising. That's what the major labels are there to do. To advertise the product, distribution and advertising networks.
So what does an independent one does?
Same
thing.
Same
They
thing,
do
but with
all of
smaller
it just themselves.
budget.
Whoever owns
Just
it,
one at a time.
if an independent label will be owned by 1 or 2 people and all the money that goes into it comes from them, a major label is generally owned by a corporation and all the money comes in from corporate funding. So they can say, we've got Jack's album, we're going to spend £2 million advertising it all over the entire world. Whereas Jack was doing that on his own label, he's not going to have that £2 million advertising budget.
Doesn't mean I can't reach as many people though.
So you go into a major record label, get all the advertising. Once your contract's over, go into independent by yourself. You still have that publicity.
Fan base, yeah.
So then you never, then in that case you'd make more money, wouldn't you?
Eventually, yeah. If you
Yeah, but the record label have still got their money back over the 3 album period.
But then you've gained publicity.
Yeah,
It's a
that's the whole
win-win.
point.
the whole point of all of it, yeah.
Do you actually
But
make
then it's
any
still kind of a douche.
good money out of being an artist then, in any way? Or how do you-
No. Luke released his album for free because the record label tried to do something.
They decided they didn't want to release it, so they paid for the production of it, but then didn't want to release it because the A&R people at label changed. So they owned it, but didn't want to release it, so it took them 5 years to release it.
Oh, no.
5 what?
5
Years.
So if he'd been independent, he could have recorded that album and released it. But if he'd been independent, he couldn't have spent 150 grand on recording the album, which he did.
150 grand.
Something of that nature, yeah. So that's what the major label does. They advance that money to pay for everything. The major label would pay for you to hire a swimming pool out for the evening and bring the microphones in and record Jack in the empty swimming pool singing. But then in the next 2 years, everything Jack sells is paying back the swimming pool recording budget until you've covered all that.
What if we do a live gig in the swimming pool? Can we just say, so call it quits there?
Well, it depends on your contract, because depending on the contract you've got with the label, do you take the sales from your concerts, or is it a 360 deal where they take your sales as well? In which case they will recoup quicker, or you put on the gig in the swimming pool and you make the money from it.
What about songwriters that give their music to artists and other artists perform them?
What do you mean
Just
give?
stop the
They don't give it. They don't give it to
I
you.
see. Okay, yeah. And,
That's what I was
people that
saying.
have songwriting credits,
Yep.
Yeah,
do they make any? They make royalties.
They probably make more money than the sales from the royalties.
That's
Yeah.
why it's so cool.
PRS royalties from the radio, for example. If you write a song and it gets playlisted on Radio 1, you're probably going to earn more money than the artist that sings the song from it being playlisted, because you're getting all the songwriting royalties.
So if you want to make some money, the sort of job to do is either one of these practical things or a
Either you
songwriter.
get paid by the session for doing practical work, or you get write your own songs. Definitely. We've got any more questions or feedback? We're going to go to a clap.